The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Here's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast. We're talking Major League Baseball's World Series, the matchup we all predicted, and then NFL picks and college football games to watch this week. That's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast.
From Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up Podcast Network, you're listening to the Sports Stove Podcast with your host, Vince Stover.
Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me?
Welcome in to an all-new edition of the Sports Stove podcast presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. If you want the purest jerky in the game, you got to go straight to the source. And Righteous Felon, they've partnered with the best natural black Angus beef producers in the land to lock up supply and guarantee the best tasting, the best textured, and, by the way, the freshest beef jerky on the market. Try it for yourself at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15. You're going to get 15% off your purchase. I'm Vince Stover, your host, joined by my dad, Dale Stover. Dad, how you doing?
Doing good. Boy, a lot of sports going on. Had a chance to watch my Boston Celtics for a little bit earlier this evening, so that was good.
NBA talk. We talk as much NBA as we do NHL on this show. But yes, NBA is underway and kicking for the season. Dad, this week I tried a new flavor of Righteous Felon jerky. Actually, it was on Sunday that I had this jerky. This is the flavor that they call Foul Capone. It's a turkey jerky right there, infused with basil. And I'll tell you, Dad, when I first, I've been holding off on trying this one because I really didn't think I was going to like it. It is now number 5 on my favorite flavors of Righteous Felon jerky. Lots of flavor, very, very tasty, and as always, tender and awesome texture as well. And so I would encourage those who get on to righteousfelon.com to check out Foul Capone and use that code STOVE15 at your checkout. All right, Dad, let's start with baseball. Of course, the World Series is now set. Game 1 is Friday at 8:03 p.m. Eastern Time. And as we all predicted, the Texas Rangers will be hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks. I talked a lot of baseball this year on our Sunday show, the Sports Stove Fantasy Baseball Show. It took me 2 months to respect the Rangers, to realize, hey, I think this is a really good team. And the Diamondbacks, from the get-go, it was like, hey, this team is going to be improved. They got young guys that are going to be lots of fun. The question was, can their pitching hold up? Well, the reality is both of these teams have good pitchers, but pitchers that have overachieved, I think, at least to this point. But they got them where they need to be, and the world gets to see Corbin Carroll now, who is an exciting young baseball player for Arizona, along with other guys. I think both of these teams are stocked full of talent, and I think we're in for a good series. The Rangers have put up a whole lot of runs this season, and their offense is really what's carried them all the way here, although the pitching has been better than expected, especially after injuries. But I think it's going to be a fun one, Dad. Rangers and Diamondbacks. What are your general thoughts on this World Series?
Yeah, I think it will be good baseball. Like you said, there's a lot of talent involved, and Diamondbacks. I watched quite a bit of the series with the Phillies since I've got a good friend that's a Phillies fan, and I was kind of cheering for them. But you could see the Diamondbacks have a lot of talent, and they seem very comfortable with being there, in the playoffs, and didn't get flustered or anything. So I think there's a lot of good baseball. Again, a lot of good base running. I think there's good fielding, probably in both these teams. And I think it should be a good series, and probably will go deep into the series.
Yeah, I think it could be really even. The Rangers, though, have a tendency to put on a whole lot of runs. So Arizona will have to keep up in that regard. But it's an interesting matchup. I think it's an entertaining matchup. I'm excited about it. We talked about just before coming on air about the what the viewership will be like. You mentioned that, the East, there probably won't be great viewership in the East, and I would agree. But I think when you put teams like this in, you get an opportunity to draw in maybe a different viewership. It's not even the diehard baseball fans, although diehard baseball fans should be tuning in. But you get the people who are like, wait a second, Arizona. There are people who remember the last time Arizona was in the World Series. The Rangers are one of those brands that maybe not super popular right now, but they had a moment in history where there were a lot of Rangers fans out there, Nolan Ryan being the main reason for that. So I think you're going to get some people back that maybe haven't watched in a little while. You're going to get some people interested as well. And putting it on national television helps. It'll be on Fox, which is always good. I didn't understand why they were hiding it on FS1 this whole time and TBS. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be a good World Series. We're going to get to predictions in just a moment. But, Dad, first of all, Houston Astros manager Dusty Baker announces his retirement today. Dusty, of course, got the World Series last year. He seems to be well respected and one of the good guys, I suppose. Been around a long time. I've been around a lot of baseball. But thoughts on Dusty Baker's retirement?
Yes, he was I think he'll go down as one of the great coaches, no doubt about it. He won with a lot of different teams. He was with my Giants for a while, so I knew him then. And I think it'd be interesting to see how Houston does, because I think with Houston being in the spot they were, he was the ideal guy to come in and stabilize that. And but it's probably time for him to retire. He's had a great career. And, a great baseball guy, no doubt about it.
Bob Melvin leaving San Diego to go to the Giants, be the new Giants manager. So that's an experienced older guy coming down to San Francisco to take over the Giants baseball team, which is interesting. Craig Counsell, whose contract expired in Milwaukee, interviewing with the Mets, which is no surprise to Brewers fans, because the former GM went to the Mets. Everyone's been talking about this for 2 years. Hate to see Craig Counsell leave. And honestly, a little surprised that he is leaving. But it looks like what everyone's been suspecting is he'll end up with the Mets. That's not finalized, of course. But, I mean, it will be probably soon. But let's get back to managers and the World Series, Dad. Bruce Bochy, another former Giants manager. He's in the World Series with the Rangers. The first, I believe, manager to take 3 different teams to the World Series. Is Bruce Bochy a top 3 all-time baseball manager?
He'd be close to it. He really knows how to handle a team, knows how to handle a lineup, and just seems to, when he's with teams, just make the right moves. I remember years ago when he was with the Giants and the Giants were doing well, I talked to a coworker who was a really knowledgeable baseball guy, and he said the difference is your manager, because he said this guy really knows how to maneuver the lineup. And so I think he'll go down as one of the top ones. I don't know about the top 3, but he's probably going to have the record for it, especially if he wins the series here.
Yeah, impressive manager for sure, and interesting to see how this one breaks out. Let's go to prediction time for the World Series. Diamondbacks and Rangers coming into this one. Dad, I'm going to start with you. Who wins and how many games does it take them?
Well, I'm going to stay with the National League and the team of destiny here with the Diamondbacks, and I'll take the Diamondbacks in 7 games.
Wow. Okay. Diamondbacks in 7. I'm going to go Rangers, and I'd love for it to go 7 games. To me, that's the most fun that you could possibly do. But I'm going to go Rangers in 6. They have produced the Arizona Diamondbacks by over 130 runs. So they've had 881 runs on the season, which is just crazy. The Diamondbacks at 746. I just think that at the end of the day, the Rangers are the team of destiny more so than Arizona. They led the AL East for a long time, South, for a long time, and then, West. They led the AL West for a long time this season, and they ended up 2nd place in the West, 90 wins on the season. Again, they've overcome injuries. They come out, do what they've got to do after losing 3 straight. They won 2. against Houston, both of them at Houston. And again, putting up so many runs. I think it's Texas's to take home. And so I'm going to go Texas in 6. Dad goes Diamondbacks in 7. I like the call there as well. Anything else on baseball, Dad, before we move on to football?
No, should be a good World Series. Like I said, it was a good playoffs, and hopefully it'll be a good ending to the season.
All right, let's get into the NFL week number 8. Before we do that, week number 7, let's recap a couple things for you. The week started off with the Jaguars holding on to beat the Saints on Thursday night. Sunday saw some exciting games. Cleveland and Indianapolis, a very fun game. 39-38, Cleveland gets the win. Patriots upset the Bills. Ravens dominate the Lions. Bears beat the Raiders. Falcons take over the Bucks and the division lead. Steelers showed up and beat the Rams. Outside of that, everything else was fairly ho-hum. Chiefs beat the Chargers. Eagles beat the Dolphins and handled them overall. And then Monday night came, and Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings take the win over the 49ers. And yes, the 49ers are a little beat up, but come on now. 22-17, Vikings win. To me, that was the most surprising thing, even though the Patriots win was surprising. The Vikings beating the 49ers was the most surprising thing to me.
Yes, I think maybe the Bills was the biggest upset there with the Patriots. But, yeah, I was surprised that Minnesota, you didn't think you thought, again, San Francisco is a little beat up, and it does make a difference. San Francisco is kind of, struggled here just a little bit. So it's interesting to see, their dominance at the first of the season was just unbelievable. So, we will see. I don't know. Is San Francisco struggling? Is Minnesota peaking? We'll see.
So you think the Bills-Patriot game is more of an upset than Vikings-49ers?
I think so, or it's just as much. I mean, the Patriots, haven't been any good. Now, it is a division game, so you can say, and we always say that the division game, you never know, but I was just totally shocked at that. But
the Bills should not have lost to the Patriots, but a division game on the road, you put those two factors into it. I'm always going to give a little credence to division games. Minnesota and San Francisco, it's in a dome. It's Minnesota without the best player in the league. It's San Francisco with a dominant defense. It's all these other things. Minnesota had no business winning that game. And to me, that's by far the biggest upset of the week. And I mean, yes, the Bills upset. That's crazy. But to me, it was all about that game there on Monday night to close out the week. But let's transition to this week and talk about what's going on this week, because there's some interesting games. We're going to pick 6 of these games. We always pick the primetime games, so we follow that with 3 random games of our own choosing, and we pick against the spread for these games as well, even though neither me or Dad actually gamble, but we like to pick against the spread. Thursday night, Baker and the Bucks head up to Buffalo. The Bills coming off a tough loss. You'd think that they're going to wake up and be ready to go on Thursday, but Thursday games are always ugly. The Bills are 8.5-point favorites this week at home. Dad, which way do you go with Buffalo and Tampa?
Well, these picks this week, I think, are really hard, especially the primetime games. And the problem with this one is the line being 8.5. But I'll go with Buffalo. Buffalo should rebound on this. I do like Tampa and Baker. I think they've done better, but they're on the road. And if Buffalo is going to right the ship here, they need to do it at home. And if they get rolling, they can cover 8.5. So I'll go with Buffalo.
Buffalo should win. Buffalo should blow out the Buccaneers. But Dad picked Buffalo. So all aboard the Baker train. We're going Buccaneers plus 8.5 this week against the Bills. I think the Bills win, but I think it's going to be closer than it should be. And I think the Buccaneers defense is decent. And again, I think the Buccaneers offense can put up points if need be, although they didn't last week. That being said, I'm going to go Buccaneers as the underdogs on Thursday night. Monday night, it's the Sunday night. The Los Angeles Chargers, the 2-4 Los Angeles Chargers, host the 2-5 Chicago Bears. It's what everybody thought was going to be when they scheduled this game for a Sunday night primetime battle between Justin Herbert and Justin Fields. All the talk is the Bears are going to trade Justin Fields and draft a new quarterback. The Chargers need to fire their coach and hire a new coach. And the Chargers, Dad, 8.5-point favorites at home. But I've tried to teach you, Dad, and you refuse to listen to me. But you cannot pick the Chargers. Chargers will not cover. Chicago Bears plus 8.5. Give me the Bears. How about you?
As much as I hate it, yes, I pick the Bears also.
Oh.
I think with 8.5 is, can the Chargers beat anybody by 8.5, even though they're at home? And like you said, that being a home game is a little iffy there in LA. Yeah. So, but the Bears, again, I mean, they've got, but they won again last week. So, yeah. We'll go with the Bears, and they may even win this game, but definitely I think they can get the spread.
Man, if Chicago wins this game, Staley's got to be fired, right? I mean, there's no way the Chargers could keep a coach who loses in prime time to the Bears, can they?
No, this will be the downfall for sure for the Chargers. Things will have to happen if they lose to the Bears at home prime time, but it could happen.
Two teams coming off embarrassing losses will headline Monday night's game. The Detroit Lions at home, 7.5-point favorites over the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know who's playing quarterback for the Raiders this week, but I don't know, Dad. This Detroit team is so confusing to me. The moment I give them any ounce of respect, they get embarrassed by Baltimore. They're supposed to be one of the top teams, a top 3 team in the NFC, and they can't even hang with the Ravens. Listen, they're at home. They're against the Raiders. They should win, but who knows what's going to happen? Which way do you go with this one?
Again, it's a high number at 7.5, and Detroit. Again, I don't know, but I don't think they're necessarily one of the top teams, and they really got exposed last week. But Vegas, the Raiders are really, really not a good team. And unfortunately, they're not playing the Packers this week. So, I don't know how that's going to go. But Detroit, I'll have to go with Detroit. 7.5 is a lot. But I don't know that Vegas, again, it's on the road. It's at Detroit. Detroit probably plays better at home. And again, I mean, I don't understand what I'm doing picking the Bears and the Lions, but there's not much choice. I have to pick these games. And there's just no way I can honestly think that the Raiders are going to cover.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, Dad. I picked the Raiders, 7.5-point underdogs to cover this one, and it makes me feel better that you picked the Lions.
There you go.
So that made me much at ease. I am interested to see who the quarterback is, for Vegas this week, and to see where it ends up going. I don't know. Somebody has to take some pride in what's going on there in Vegas. And if they do that, I think they can hang with Detroit. I think Detroit's the better team. I think Detroit should win. But I don't know. 7.5, to me, that was just a big enough number. I mean, it's just a touchdown, a little over a touchdown. But still, I don't know. I felt like it was going to be closer. So I went with Vegas in that one. This might be my downfall this week for sure. All right, let's get to the rest of the games, Dad. Game number 4, who did you pick this week?
I will take the Colts at home by 1.5 over the Saints. I think the Colts are playing good. I don't think the Saints necessarily are. And the Colts being at home, to me, that one made a lot of sense. So I'll take them by 1.5.
Why'd you do that, Dad? That's what I got. I got Indianapolis as well. 1.5 over the Saints at home. I mean, it just makes sense. Minshew's good enough. Jonathan Taylor, by the way, is getting things going. Looked great this past week. And I like what Indy's doing. And I don't like what New Orleans is doing. I picked Indianapolis too, and now I hate it since you picked them, but that's okay. Indianapolis, 1.5-point favorites. Next game.
Again, you may have picked this one too, but we both like Houston, and even though they're on the road, 2.5 over Carolina, as I looked at all the games, that one seemed like an easy one. So we'll take Houston. C.J. Stroud being able to get the bragging rights here, even though it's in Carolina.
Yeah, I did not pick this game. I agree with you. I think Houston covers and wins easily against Carolina. I love what Houston's doing. I love what they're doing on offense. They might actually get their run game going against Carolina this week. They've not been able to do that to this point. But yes, I agree with you, although I did not pick that game, Dad. I went instead with an underdog at 2.5 points. Steelers against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Steelers are at home, 2.5-point underdogs. And it looks like both of these teams are finding their footing right now. But a home game in Pittsburgh, as much as I respect Jacksonville, I don't know. I just keep waiting for Pittsburgh to have that breakout. They've gotten better and better and better. I think Pittsburgh takes this game. So I went Pittsburgh over Jacksonville, 2.5-point underdogs. Any thoughts on that one?
Again, that should be a good game, and you're right about being in Pittsburgh. Of course, we're not quite to the winter weather yet, and I do think Jacksonville's going to be something to deal with in the AFC. Of course, the North Division is shaping up to be tough, like we thought it would be. Pittsburgh has been surprising in a lot of ways, but I kind of think Jacksonville will win this. We'll see.
All right, who is your last game?
I'll go with an underdog on this one, 5.5-point underdog, and they're on the road to Cincinnati Bengals against the 49ers. Again, I don't know that the Bengals will win this, but I think they can definitely cover the spread. And again, the Bengals have got to continue to rebound here. And to me, San Francisco is struggling. Now, they've got a great defense, but again, if anybody should be able to handle it, it could be with Joe Burrow and that. And Cincinnati's got a fairly good defense. So, is San Francisco going to be able to score? I think, I think Cincinnati may win this, but I think they'll cover.
Yeah, I didn't pick this game, but I agree with you. I think Cincinnati could easily be within that. It could come down to a field goal, something to that effect. And Brock Purdy's in concussion protocol, so we don't know what's going to happen there yet. Deebo Samuels is injured. McCaffrey will be there. He'll play, but I don't know. I mean, even if the defense wakes up for San Francisco, it could still be a 3-point game. So at the end of the day, I do agree with you, Dad. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the interdivision game, Dad. And I'm going to go New England Patriots plus 9.5. It's such a big number. The way they performed against Buffalo. Miami's a completely different team, but Tyreek Hill, he missed practice today. As he sit out this week, that could change some things as well. So I'm going to go New England at plus 9.5 in Miami. It's not too hot in Miami right now, so that doesn't have a great effect on things. And it seems like Bill Belichick pulls out the best things against the division teams. And so I think they'll at least show up and be respectable in this game, even though I do think Miami wins this game. I think it could be by less than 9.5 points. Thoughts on New England, Miami?
Again, being a division game and 9.5 is a big number, so I can see how you would pick this. On the other hand, I don't think anybody would be surprised if Miami gets rolling and the Patriots are back where they were a couple weeks ago. But again, it's a division game, and New England pulled it off last week, so that's not a bad pick with 9.5.
All right, let's run through the rest of the games. Philadelphia on the road, 6.5-point favorites over Washington. Washington, man, they've allowed 40-plus sacks already. They're on pace to break the record set in Houston when Carr was the rookie quarterback for most sacks in a season. I believe their coach is on officially the hot seat as well. Philadelphia looked really good this last week against Miami. Could be a letdown game. It is a division game. It is on the road. I don't know. I think Philadelphia covers, but I think they win this game for sure.
Yes, I think Philadelphia will roll in this one. I didn't pick it again because it is a division game and it is on the road. And I thought maybe there were some better choices. But Philadelphia, I think, is establishing himself as the best team in the NFC right now.
The Battle of New York, the New York Jets on the road, 2.5-point favorites over the Giants. I gotta be honest with you, Dad. I'm a little surprised by that. I guess it's not totally surprising the Jets are the favorite, but even so, Dad, I don't know. I kind of like the Giants in this one.
Yes, the Giants early on looked like they were just terrible, and now they've kind of rebounded. Tyrod Taylor, doing better there. I do not think the Jets are necessarily a good team either. So this is kind of a toss-up on this one either way. But I would be for the Giants over the Jets. But exactly who will win would be a hard one to pick for me.
Tennessee Titans are trading all their players to Philadelphia, but they're going to have at least 53 to play against Atlanta this week. Tennessee hosting this game is a 2.5-point underdog to the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think the Falcons are good necessarily, but I think they're better than the Titans. So I hear there's rumor that possibly Will Levis gets his debut this week as well. Give me Atlanta in this one.
Yes, I think so, because the Titans, were doing the trades and stuff. I think that's going to definitely affect whatever psyche they may have had. I read where they may use both quarterbacks, and that's never usually a recipe for success there. I was going to ask you later on what you thought about the Kevin Byard trade. I mean, the Titans have gotten rid of some of their best players before in history, and it looks like this would be one of their better defensive players. Of course, he's from MTSU right there locally, and had a great career there, so I like him there, and I think he'll do really well with the Eagles. If they were going to trade him, I wish Packers could have got him, but anyhow.
Well, I'll say this. It's an improvement for Philadelphia over what they had. And it's a downgrade for the Titans. At the same time, Byard isn't the player he was even 2 seasons ago. I think he's already hit his peak. So I think he's on the downward slide, but I don't think he's bad by any stretch of the imagination. He's still a very good safety. And I think on that team, especially in Philadelphia, he will have a good rest of the year as well. The Titans are looking to ship out everything. I mean, Derrick Henry's on the block. If anybody wants Tannehill, I'm sure they can have him. I would assume they're going to hang on to all their young guys. I've heard people have been calling on the receivers, but I would assume they're going to hold on to those guys. But at the end of the day, it's a great move for Philadelphia. They didn't have to give up very much. Tennessee's just trying to acquire as much capital as they can right now to rebuild, which is what's ahead here for Tennessee. So, I mean, it's a good trade for Philadelphia. I think they won the trade, no doubt about that. But I think Tennessee's also accomplishing what they're trying to accomplish. And I don't think Kevin Byard was ever an untouchable guy at this point in his career either. I don't know. I don't know if Green Bay could have got him, who they would have had to give up to get him. The draft capital wasn't that bad. They definitely need safety help. I mean, I heard Darnell Savage may go IR this week as well. So, I mean, speaking of Green Bay, Dad, they're the next game up. Some people have this game even. On what we use has it at Minnesota, a 0.5 favorite, half a point favorite on the road in Green Bay. How sad is that? Neither one of us picked this game, Dad. I'd like to think Green Bay wins this game, but at the same time, I mean, who knows? Who knows what we're getting these days?
Yeah, I think there is a good chance just by virtue of, I think, it looks like Minnesota is doing better, obviously, with beating the 49ers there. A lot of questions in Green Bay right now, but it's a home game. So if things are going to start clicking the right way and people are going to start making, if they're going to cut down on some of the mistakes, this would be an ideal game being at home against Minnesota for things to pick up again very quickly. Again, can it get a lot worse right now? Right now, people, I think, in Green Bay, from what I'm hearing, is just, they're kind of going to go through the season. Hopefully people will get experience and it will get better as the season goes on. I think they will win some games. This would be a great one, no doubt about it, to head in that direction. They've got a couple games here. They should be able to be in the game, no doubt about it. They've just got to get things to click, which have not happened so far. And the fact that they lost to 2 bad teams really, is kind of a head scratcher. So we'll see.
What record gets Matt LaFleur fired?
I don't think Matt LaFleur gets fired at this point because I think, again, young play unless Jordan Love just really has trouble. I think everybody's going to say Jordan Love's got potential. I think he does. He's surrounded by youth in spots where it's tough. Another injury or two. I don't think LaFleur gets fired this year. Kind of no matter what it is. Now, I guess if it's 2-15, maybe so, but I don't think it's going to go that way.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, I think 4-12 or 4-13, I guess. I think that's it. I think if they only get 4 wins, I think LaFleur's gone. I like LaFleur enough. I don't mind keeping him around. They're gonna have to make staff changes. I mean, the defense. We saw it with Dom Capers every year. The last 3 games. Oh, look, the defense actually showed up. Well, look, the defense is improving. Oh, look, there's hope for the defense. And they didn't fire Dom Capers when they should have. And we went through an extra couple of years with Dom Capers, who I greatly respect, but his time was due. Same thing with Mike McCarthy, but that's another story. Listen, Joe Barry, I'm sure he's a fine guy. I hate calling for people's jobs. It ain't working. It's time to move on. And LaFleur, I don't know. I think in some ways to keep his job, he might have to make that change sooner rather than later. I don't know if he's the one that gets to make that call. But nonetheless, I think 4 wins is the line. He's got to get over 4 wins to keep his job this year. And maybe they even make changes on the offensive staff. Maybe they take away the play calling responsibilities from him at the end of the year and make him go get someone that can do that aspect. I don't even know. At this point, I still am relatively positive about the future of the team, but I'm not super positive about the season. I still think 7 wins is a possibility. But at the end of the day, any win we get's a cherry on top for me at this point. I feel like this is a throwaway season other than development. Develop guys, get them touches, get them playing time, and go from there. They're at home. They need to win this game, plain and simple. They should win this game, and we'll see how it all shakes out. Dallas is at home, 6.5-point favorites over the Rams. The Rams looked like maybe they were going to be okay this year, but they're 3-4. Dallas, of course, has had their downfalls, but at the same time, Dallas is a pretty solid team too. I think Dallas is the better team. They are at home. I'll take the Cowboys in this one. How about you?
Yes, I think the Cowboys should beat the Rams. Cowboys should rebound again. I don't think they're as good as looked like earlier in the year, but they should be better than the Rams. And being at home, they should win this.
Are they better than San Francisco, Dallas?
When San Francisco's healthy, no. Right now, it might be quite a game. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia is the clear number 1. But I think San Francisco and Dallas are closer than someone would give them credit for. Seattle hosts Cleveland. Seattle is the 2.5-point favorite. Cleveland is going in with quarterback P.J. Walker again. Because of that, I'm going Seattle, even though they have the same record. I don't love either of these teams, Dad, but I'm going to go Seattle in this one.
Yeah, I think Cleveland's going to have a better year, and I'd like to see Cleveland win this one. Seattle, again, playing better like they did last year. So it's kind of up in the air where this one's at. Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go with them being at home, even though I'll be for the Browns. And the Browns proved last week with their defense, don't count them out. So.
Yeah, I guess. Kansas City, Denver. Denver's at home. Denver's Denver, even though they beat the Packers. Kansas City, 7.5-point favorites. I mean, that's probably the same number that's on the how many times are you going to see Taylor Swift, over under 7.5. I'll take the over on both of these things. Kansas City walks away with this one against Denver.
Yes, I mean, Denver obviously now is on the winning streak, and I think Kansas City will probably just bring it back down to earth real quick. I think Kansas City will cover.
Baltimore on the road against Arizona, 8.5-point favorites. I love what Baltimore's doing. I love it for my fantasy teams because I got Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers. It's been a wonderful thing for me. But Arizona is tanking, and they've done it very, very well to this point in the year. and I don't see it changing now. Give me your prediction for this game, and then I have a question for you regarding the Cardinals.
I think Baltimore, will win this, and I think they will cover. So,
the Cardinals have a tight end named Zach Ertz.
I'm sorry.
The Cardinals have a tight end named Zach Ertz.
Yes,
I think he would look good in green and gold.
He would.
Okay, yeah. So Packers. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want to go get, right? Veteran. We need a veteran pass catcher. We don't have any of them. We like the young tight ends, but I don't think Zach Ertz would hurt anything in that room, and I think he would help Jordan Love at the same time. That's the kind of guy that makes sense for the Packers to go after right now.
Yes, I think I think the Packers may make a move here at the trade deadline. I was going to ask you about that here at the end, but I think there's possibility. I don't think tight end. I think it would have been great at the first of the year, no doubt about it. I don't think tight end's a spot that they need as bad right now as they do tackle. Offensive line could be anywhere on the offensive line, a good veteran and wide receiver, because I think that room still needs some guidance and leadership there. And I think it really set the new guys up. So, again, I think a Jerry Jeudy type thing would be a real good move there.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they got Jerry Jeudy. I don't think he's what they need. I think Ertz actually fits what you're talking about better than Jeudy does. Now, he's not a wide receiver, I get that, but he's a veteran pass catcher. I think he would help and do those things. Again, if they brought in Jeudy, I wouldn't be upset about it, but I don't think that's the missing piece right now. Offensive line, though, 100%. They need offensive linemen, and Jordan Love would look a whole lot better if he was protected. Aaron Jones would look a whole lot better and stay healthier if he had holes to run through. Yeah, offensive line is the number one need. Defensive back is a need as well. They got enough needs, but I don't know. To me, Ertz is the kind of guy that feels like the price tag wouldn't be super high, and quality veteran to add to the locker room. That's what I would like to see. All right, let's transition to college football, Dad. And the weekend ahead, the slate that is on hand, the EKU Colonels will be on the road to Utah Tech. First ever matchup between the two teams. But most of you listening tonight probably don't care about that. So let's get into it. Tennessee, Kentucky, Dad. They're both 5-2, but Tennessee has beaten much better competition than Kentucky has to this point. I say that in jest a little bit, but at Kentucky, Tennessee's a 4-point favorite. When I grew up, you didn't even have to question who was going to win this game. You knew it was going to be Tennessee. I don't have as much confidence as some people in the Vols, but I think they're better than Kentucky. So I'll take Tennessee in that one.
Yeah, I think even though it's on the road, Tennessee, I think it's still going to have a good season. And if for them to have that, then this is a game, they need to win here, because they're going to have a tough one, kind of a trap game next week. So, but yeah, I hopefully Tennessee will look really good here and do well.
People are trying to talk like the Florida-Georgia game is going to be entertaining. I don't see that one happening. And there's a battle of ranked opponents this week that I don't care to watch. Duke and Louisville, to me, that's not super exciting. Oregon and Utah should be a great game, though. Excited about that one ahead there. And that's pretty much it for me. Any games that stand out to you this week in college football?
Well, Oregon and Utah should be the best game, but there's three teams that if they're going to stay in the hunt, then they've got to continue to win. And that's OU, and they play Kansas. They should win. Florida State playing Wake Forest. Washington playing Stanford. All three of those teams need to win if they're going to stay in the hunt, and it'll continue to make it very interesting if they do continue to win. So, again, OU had kind of a tight one last week, so we'll see. In Kansas, probably of those three teams playing them, Kansas is the better one of the bunch, but of course we will see there. But those three, I'll kind of be keeping an eye on those three teams to see if they stay undefeated.
My picks have changed since the beginning of the year. I'm sure yours has too. As you look at it right now, who do you think the final 4 teams are?
Um, I think you've got obviously Georgia.
Yeah.
I think Georgia, Ohio State. I think if Michigan beats Penn State, then I think whoever loses Michigan and Ohio State could still be in it. And then the next team, again, it'll depend kind of on Florida State, OU, depending on who stays in it here undefeated.
Yeah, I got Georgia, Ohio State, Washington, and Oklahoma as my final 4. I don't believe Florida State will run the table. I think Ohio State beats Michigan. So therefore, I got Ohio State in. And if you got undefeated teams, I think you're going to have 4 undefeated teams out of these 6 that are there. So I'll go with those 4. But we'll see how it all shakes down at the end of the day. Quinn Ewers out for Texas. So with injury. So that's not great. And we'll see how things look now in Texas. They've been a good team, but nonetheless, there's plenty of things that got to be taken care of there in Texas. So we'll see how it all shakes out the rest of the way. Anything else, Dad, to cover before we head out?
No. Have you heard with Ewers being hurt, will Arch Manning be the quarterback, or is there another backup?
I don't believe it's Arch Manning, Dad. And the only reason I say that is I feel like that's all anyone would be talking about. So I believe it's Murphy. Let me see if I can get his first name. Let's see here. It's not going to be Arch Manning. Like I said, that's all you'd hear about. Malik Murphy, starting quarterback against BYU. Let's see here. See if I can give you some information. Looks like both Murphy and Manning are getting a lot of snaps in practice right now. So Murphy, it looks like he's in line to start. He was a redshirt freshman in 2022 and had the number 2 job coming in as well. So there you go. It looks like Murphy's the guy, but Arch Manning will be the backup now and give opportunity if the window opens. And might we say that Arch Manning's uncle, the window opened and he stepped in and never stepped out. So maybe that's what Arch Manning does as well in Texas. Anything else?
Nope. Well, I think that'll do it. Should be a good week in football. It's exciting every week in the NFL, and college football is coming down. It's a great time of the year, fall football season. High school is either in the playoffs or getting close within a week, and a lot of high schools there. And so a lot of football going on here in the fall.
Your Celtics currently winning as of this broadcast over the Knicks. 64-53 in the third quarter. Congratulations there as well. And we'll talk about hockey next week, maybe, if we get there. Follow us on social media at Sports Stove on Twitter and Instagram. Go find your new favorite flavor of jerky at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15. That's STOVE, the number 1 and the number 5. STOVE15. Use that at checkout, and you are going to get 15% off your purchase, and you will not regret it. You'll love Righteous Felon. I hope you try that. Dad, yours is headed your way in a couple of days. They try out a couple flavors as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's broadcast of the Sports Stove Podcast. Thanks, Dad, as always, for joining us tonight. Share, subscribe, rate, review, all those good things as well. Until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.